What's up, guys? So I received a great question to update my top 5 best $150 to $100 phones. If I could find some $100 phones, I definitely will, but there's a ton of $150 phones that I recommend for even using it as your main phone for people on a really tight budget, or a backup phone as well too. All right, so of course the first phone, and I'll try to put the screenshots up, 150 bucks. You can find this eBay or Amazon, and it's just an amazing phone at this price point. And I talked about this phone a lot. Aluminum frame, glass back, IP68. It's really built like a tank, and absolutely love the design on here. It has dual screen case support. It has the pen support. A very good screen in my opinion. It's a POLED display. It's HDR10 plus, 6.8 inches, 1080p, 395 for the PPI. Really beautiful screen on here. Completely flat, great colors. Only thing it's missing is any type of high refresh rate, but very smooth panel for 60 hertz. The phone got its last major OS update with Android 13, which is completely fine. You could really use this phone for the next 2-3 years and not really have to worry about anything security wise. For the most part, I would just make sure your apps are updated as always, and just make sure you have any type of antivirus software, whichever one you like, just to be safe. But you should not get hacked at all. I've got plenty of phones I've never gotten hacked. So this phone has the Snapdragon 865 chipset on here, and it's a very powerful phone. For the most part, I can still pretty much play anything in the Play Store. PUBG, Call of Duty, whatever, it still loads up applications really fast, even compared to the latest phones. It's a very fast phone. On top of that, it does have micro SD card support, 128 gigs of internal storage, and 8 gigs of RAM. So it's a beast in that department. And like I said, it does have pen support as well too. And you got really good speakers on here as well. Very loud, really good amount of bass. And then also you have a headphone jack with a quad DAC. So it's just going to give you really good high-res audio on here as well too. So for anybody who's a big audio fan, this phone is awesome for that. Under the display, fingerprint sensor is on board. The only thing it doesn't have is face unlock, which is something that I really wish it had. The cameras, I think, are aging pretty good. In good lighting, you can still get a really good shot with the V60. It's only when you take it out of good lighting, pictures do start to, you can kind of see the age of the phone. It's a little bit soft, doesn't do as good in low lighting and stuff like that. But besides that, in good lighting, you'll still be pretty amazed at how good of a shot you can get. So it has a 64 megapixel standard, 13 megapixel ultra wide, 0.3 depth sensor, shoots in 8K 30, 10 megapixel selfie, shoots in 4K 30, and like I said, just a really good camera if you're in good lighting. You also have a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, and it does support wireless charging as well. And battery life is really good on the V60 as well. So again, my number one pick here. All right, the next phone you can actually get close to $100. This one I'm seeing on Amazon for $119, and you can actually find this a little bit cheaper, like around $100 flat, I think, on eBay. But this is such an excellent phone, and my friend actually still uses this as his main device still. And like I said, guys, this is an awesome phone for anybody who wants a compact phone. It's got the aluminum frame. It's IP68 dust and water resistant. It's extremely easy to hold. It's just really comfortable to hold. It's got a 5.8-inch dynamic AMOLED display. It's HDR10 plus at 1080p. 438 for the PPI. Really nice display, still really good colors, and overall I have no complaints with the panel on here. Now again, this one had its last major OS update with Android 12 One UI 4.1. It's got the Snapdragon 855 chipset on here. Like I said, just put some antivirus software if you just want to be safe. And this one has micro SD card support, 128 gigs of internal storage, and 6 gigs of RAM. Believe it or not, it's still a beast when it comes to performance. You can still play PUBG at HDR Extreme. It's still really good when it comes to playing video games. The only thing with this phone is the battery life, which we'll talk about a little bit later here. But the speakers are really nice on here, and you still do have a headphone jack on this phone as well too. It still has all the Samsung features like Samsung desktop support and all that good stuff, secure folders. And yeah, the fingerprint scanner is probably one of my favorite things on this phone. It's side mounted and it's physical, and it's just really easy to get into. It's something that I absolutely really like. It's got a 12 megapixel standard and a 16 megapixel ultra wide, shoots in 4K 60 on the front and back with a 10 megapixel selfie. And it's just like the V60, so these older phones, basically they still can give you a really good picture and good lighting. It's only when you take it out of good lighting, where you start to see the age, you start to see less detail, a little bit grainy, a little bit softer. So just do note that. But if you're outdoors, man, you could take a good photo with this phone easily. So again, the next problem with this phone is that it has a 3100 milliamp hour battery, and it has wireless and reverse wireless charging, which is really good. But this phone can probably get 4 hours of screen on time. This is one of those phones you have to buy like a battery case with it or something like that. If you are a heavier user or even just a normal user, you're gonna have to charge this phone. But yeah, that's the only thing about it. And yeah, it's a phone that I really like. Definitely consider this one. All right, so for anybody looking for an iPhone, I would definitely look at the iPhone SE 2020. These you can find dirt cheap. This is pretty close to $124 on eBay, Amazon. It's really, really cheap, and it is a really, really good phone. So this one is very small. It's got the aluminum frame. It's IP67 dust and water resistant. It's got the more old school design, of course, here, but it's extremely compact. So anybody who likes really small phones, extremely easy to hold, and it has the classic Touch ID button on here for everybody who really loves the buttons. And you also have a pretty small display. It's at 4.7 inches. It's 720p plus 326 for the PPI Retina IPS LCD. 625 nits for the brightness. It's a decent display still. It's still pretty sharp even in 2024. It's just not super bright when you're in direct sunlight. But other than that, it's a fine display for the most part. This phone, it has iOS 17.4, the latest iOS. It should still get as many updates as the iPhone 11. So whenever the iPhone 11 stops getting updates, this is probably going to stop getting updates too, because they both have the same Apple A13 chip. This chipset is still blazing fast on this phone. It's really, really fast, and it can still play games really well. Play PUBG at HDR Extreme. It is a fast phone, so don't think because it's a cheap phone that it's slow. This has a flagship chipset, and it still runs really, really smooth. So I'm just really impressed with this phone, and I think I'm gonna do an updated video for you guys. But it's just an awesome phone for this price point. For it could easily be somebody's backup phone for somebody who likes Android, but you want to FaceTime and stuff like that. Man, great phone. So this phone, it does have pretty decent speakers, not anything crazy. They sound all right. And like I said, you get the fingerprint scanner. It has one single camera on here, and the camera is actually not that bad. It's pretty decent, and especially in good lighting, it's pretty decent. But the thing is, it's only one lens, so there's no ultra wide, there's no telephoto, but it does shoot in 4K 60, pretty good video, 7 megapixel selfie, 1080 30, and it's a decent camera for anybody who's just a point and click type of person. This will actually get you some really good shots, and it actually will get you some really good video as well, especially at this price point. The battery is also, it's small. It's a 1,821 milliamp hour battery. It's not going to get you like through a full day for the most part. This is a phone, again, you're going to have to charge it up or buy a charging case. And it's 18-watt charging. It does have wireless charging, which is really cool. And yeah, so just be aware of that. But excellent phone for this price. It's really good. All right, so next is the Pixel 6a. You can find this phone dirt cheap for around $150. I've seen them locked to Verizon for $129 on Amazon, but you're gonna pay, I would say $150. Pay $150 to get a very good condition one. If you want the best photos, to take the best photos, this is going to even compete with some flagship phones, in my opinion, when it comes to still photography. That's how good it is. So if you're just all about just good photos, definitely you just buy this phone. So yeah, so this one has the aluminum frame on here, which is nice. It's got a plastic back, which it just has a really nice build quality to it, which is something I like. It is IP67 dust and water resistant. It has a nice OLED panel. It's HDR at 6.1 inches, and it's 1080p 429 for the PPI, and it's a decent display for the most part. The only thing is there's no high refresh rate, but it's fine at this price point. Still really good colors, really nice panel. This phone, it got the Android 14 update, which is really nice, and it has the original Google Tensor chip on here as well. So it actually is not, it's not a slow phone by any means. It's actually a pretty powerful phone, and it's very smooth, especially with the Android 14 update. It's gotten way smoother as well. And I absolutely love the phone. Like I said, very fast phone. It's still pretty decent when it comes to gaming as well too. So if you want to do a little bit of gaming, it's decent. You also have 128 gigs of internal storage and 6 gigs of RAM on here. And like I said, you get the pure stock Android experience. You get the the Google experience on here, which is always nice. The stereo speakers are actually really good on here. They sound really nice, have a good amount of bass, so I really like that. Fingerprint scanner is under the display, and that works really well, so no issues with that. But like I said, the highlight with this phone is going to be the cameras. It's a 12.2 megapixel standard, 12 megapixel ultra wide. It shoots in 4K 60, and then you have an 8 megapixel selfie, shoots in 1080 30. Excellent shots on here. It is really impressive. How Google is able to put such a really nice camera in these mid-range phones. Like I said, flagship quality photos. I think the photos speak for themselves. I just love the Google image processing. So if you're all about taking really good photos, just buy this phone. You will not regret it. So you do have a pretty decent sized battery on here. It's a 4,410 milliamp hour battery. It has 18-watt charging, no wireless charging, but battery life is pretty good on here. So I think I can squeeze a full day of battery life out of this, no problem. So just an awesome phone for anybody who is into taking photos. All right, guys, the last phone on the list is going to be the Galaxy S20 FE. This is such an amazing phone, and I got to put a screenshot up here. You can find this phone for $150 on eBay. You can find it for $200 on, I think, Amazon, a little bit cheaper, but eBay is where I saw it the cheapest, and man, is this a crazy good phone. I would say this is probably the second best phone on the list in terms of overall, it just got everything I think that a lot of people would want. So it does have a plastic bag. It's got an aluminum frame. It still feels very premium in the hands. It's IP68 dust and water resistant. This phone has a really nice display at 6.5 inches, Super AMOLED, 120 hertz, HDR10 plus. It's 1080p 407 for the PPI. It's still a really beautiful panel and really good colors, and overall I have no issues with the panel on here. This got its last majorOS update with the Android 13 One UI 5.1, and it's still getting security updates as well too. So it's got the Snapdragon 865 chipset on here. The phone is still pretty much blazing fast. There's really nothing it can't play, and it still plays PUBG at really great settings, Call of Duty, whatever. It's a very fast phone still. And also you do have micro SD card support, so you do have expandable storage on here as well too. You do have stereo speakers on here as well, which sound pretty decent. And fingerprint scanner is under the display. That works really well. And overall, it's just a great phone. You still have all the flagship features as well too. Like this does have the Samsung desktop support and stuff like that as well, which is really sweet. Now the cameras on here are still pretty great. It's a 12 megapixel standard and an 8 megapixel telephoto. It has 3 times optical zoom with a 12 megapixel ultra wide. It's using 4K 60 on the front and back, and you have a 32 megapixel selfie. You can still get really good shots with the S20 FE. I actually compared it to a few of the newer flagships. If you guys want to check those videos out so you can actually see how it compares, but still a really decent phone when it comes to taking pictures as well. Battery life is pretty decent on the S20 FE as well too. It's not bad at all. It's 4,500 milliamp hour battery, 25 watt charging, and you also do have wireless and reverse wireless charging on here as well too. So you get pretty decent, respectable screen on time. But just overall, just a beast of a phone when it comes to just the cameras, the screen, SD card support. It's just a really good phone. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.